right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Blaklist Podcast. As always, thank you for watching, listening, subscribing. Today's guest, a very successful hip hop artist and long-term recovery content creator. He's opened up for Kevin Gates. He's doing an amazing thing out there. Joining us from Portland, Oregon, ladies and gentlemen, Skyler Ray.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. I'm excited to be a guest, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, definitely, man. I appreciate it. I'm definitely, man, I've been following you for a minute. So it's when I started this thing, you kind of, you were like one of the first ones on my mind, on who I wanted to get. So I got a list of people, man. So you were on it.
Hey, well, I'm excited. Like I said, have the opportunity, and I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah, most definitely, man. So in Portland, funny, I moved to New York from Oregon. I lived in Portland too. So for a little bit.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So
is that where you know me from, or?
Yeah. I got a cousin that's in the music scene down in Portland, and just different things like that. But I heard your name around there. But yeah, man, no, it's cool. Like I'll be back in Portland anyways, visiting and stuff. My kids are living out there and all that. So
nice. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man. So I'm all the way on the West Coast or East Coast now. So
yeah, yep. That's
all the way here in New York. Yeah, so finally excited for warmer weather.
Is it warmer over there?
Today, barely. It was 30 some degrees this morning, and then it was 70 degrees in the afternoon. So
so you still kind of get the Portland weather.
Yeah, exactly. And then last week it rained for almost a week straight. So
New York gets cold. Better bundle up.
Exactly. So, but man, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. Yeah, man, let's, we'll just hop right into it. Why don't you go ahead and kind of just tell us a little bit about who you are and, kind of go back to the beginning.
Okay. Yeah. My name is Skyler Ray. I'm a hip hop artist in long-term recovery. And basically I was born in San Jose. At a young age, I found myself in foster homes, and I was kind of bouncing around a lot. And then by the time I was 18, I found myself homeless and living on the streets. I first started like using like weed or smoking weed, probably about 5th grade. Started drinking around maybe 7th and 8th grade. But by the time I was 18, I got into meth, and that's where kind of my life unraveled. I found myself sleeping under bridges, homelessness, sidewalks, in and out of jail, prison. And I just couldn't stay out of trouble. Nowadays, I'm clean and sober. I'm sticking to my dreams. I've been making music since 11 years old, and I'm still doing it. I'm 32 now, but last few years I've been finding success, and it's been really awesome. And I owe it to my recovery, to be honest.
No, man, that's awesome. Like it's crazy. It's amazing, man. All the amazing things that happens in recovery. It's insane. Like, man, I'm more successful now than I've ever been in my entire life, and that was after 4.5 years of sobriety,
Yeah. I couldn't imagine it. I've been, a full-time artist for the last 3 years. Every single dollar that I've made in the last 3 years has come from music. And it's like everything I own has been bought with it, all our vacations, all our tour funding. It's like we've been able to go like month-long vacations in Hawaii and all this different stuff, but it's because I'm recovering my sobriety, and I'm able to fully focus on music and my mind's right. So it's like it's no question like why I get clean and continue to do music, and then things work out.
Right.
So it's a blessing for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So kind of let's go back to the beginning. What obviously being in the foster system is definitely not easy for anybody. So I mean, what age did it kind of get to the point where you were wanting to start experimenting and using some
I think using something else other than weed, or
yeah, I mean, obviously, as teenagers we all smoke weed,
Oh, yeah.
And that's just the way it is, but kind of what was the process that led up to finally hitting something that was harder?
I think just hanging out with my brother. He was 4 years older than me, so I kind of got into things when he kind of got into things, or shortly after he did. So I think it was just hanging out with him, just hanging out, doing whatever the older kids were doing. I don't know if it's necessarily peer pressure, because I was definitely more than excited. to start trying other stuff. I think I was just looking for a high, looking for an adventure. So I think that's kind of what led to it. It was accessible. I was around people I trusted. So I think all in all, like it seemed like a good decision at the time, but obviously it wasn't. So
Do,
yeah.
do you think that there was any form of like trauma or anything that kind of led you to that, or do you think it was all just influence, being around others?
Influence,
Okay.
influence. I
I mean, 'cause
don't.
it's different for everybody, some
Yeah,
people, it's the
it,
stuff that happened to them when they were younger, others
yeah.
it's influence, so
I think it's 100% influence. I have never. It's weird. It's like at a young age, anything that's happened to me, I like blocked it out as a defense mechanism. So
okay.
I've never thought like any trauma. Like I've been through stuff, but I've never thought like, you know, poor me, or like, this is really hard to deal with. I gotta,
Mhm.
you know, besides maybe like a breakup and drinking, but
Right, right.
but other than that, like I don't think consciously that at least that I used to escape, you know,
Right.
at least not consciously, I think I had a lot of issues when I was younger and stuff like that, which caused me to act up, but to
Mhm.
use, I think I did it just influence, honestly. I gotta say
Okay.
that. So
I mean, it's like everybody's journey is different,
yeah,
and that's the thing. Like that's why I do this, and that's why I bring different people from different, because everyone's journey is different, and
yeah,
and the road to recovery is not the same for everybody as well,
no,
So it's like, I do this to show people, like, it's not just a one way, why people start using, there's different avenues, and so it's
yeah.
like, it's just, it's to kind of open up the bigger picture for everything.
I agree. I definitely agree. Yeah, everybody's recovery is different, man. Like, I tell people all the time, like, I personally don't go to meetings. I don't do step work. But I recommend it
Yeah.
because I know it works, right? It's not one shoe fits all, and I tell everybody, figure out what works for you. I recommend meetings. I recommend a sponsor. I
Yeah.
recommend doing step work. People are like, "Oh, do you do that? Did that help?" And I'm like, "No, I don't."
Yeah.
Honestly, because it doesn't work for me. Well,
Yep.
not that it doesn't work for me. Let me take that back. It's just not something that I enjoy, I
Right.
should say. I love being in the comfort of my own place. I don't like leaving my place unless it's music related. But I tell everybody, and there's people who, I know that don't do hard drugs no more, come from homelessness, shooting dope, and now they smoke weed, you
Mhm.
know? And so it's like, a lot of people have a bunch of different views about it. I honestly feel like as long as a person is doing better, and as
Yep.
long as a person is on the right track, they're paying their bills, they're taking care of their kids, whatever their responsibilities are, and they're continue to move up in life.
Yep.
I'm not going to judge them for what they do. If they're
Yeah.
happy and taking care of what they got to do and being a productive member of society, hey,
Yeah.
if you gotta do that to stay away from the other stuff, like,
Yeah.
I'm for whatever makes someone happy, and that's important to me.
I mean, so let's talk about that because it's that's something that people tend to shy away from wanting to talk about, but
Yeah,
man, it's real. So, first reversing, I'm the same as you. I don't go to meetings. I don't do step work.
yeah,
Man, when I detoxed at home. I never went to a treatment facility. I've never done that. Now, in the very, very beginning of my recovery, I went to meetings, but here
yeah,
I am, and I don't go. But for me, like this is a meeting. Me and you
yeah,
talking right now is like a
yep,
meeting.
yep. I
Um,
agree.
and so that's kind of how it keeps me. But no, bro, I feel the same way. So I support all avenues of recovery,
Yeah,
whether
same,
it's
same.
map based, whether it's
Yeah,
it's marijuana, whether it's
yep.
it's whatever. Because who am I to tell you the way that you should recover?
That
And
I think that's why a lot of times it don't work, because it's this way or the highway, and it's like, whoa,
yep,
whoa, whoa. There's a lot of things that I don't even do traditionally.
right,
You know what I'm saying? I'm all the way substance free. I don't smoke. I don't drink. But there's a lot of things I don't do traditionally.
yeah,
To me, my recovery is my music.
yeah. There you go.
That's my meetings. That's my sponsorship, like, or my sponsor. That's my accountability. Like, I pour it all on the line. That's my therapy. And so it's like my comfort of my own home is my safety net.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
so
I agree, and that's just the way it's got to be, and it's like, man, and listen, I'm the same way. I support, if you need to smoke weed to keep you off
Mhm.
from doing heroin or for meth and all that, buy. You know what?
Smoke it.
I'd rather have you smoke it to the day you die than be hooked on
Yep.
it, on something
Yep.
else.
Yep. I
I
agree
support
100%. Yeah,
it,
I
and
support it too. And like I don't smoke, but I'm very much pro weed in a sense. I know there's a lot of medical benefits.
agree.
There's a
Same
lot of
here.
medical benefits. As a kid, I used to smoke it, love the smell and everything. I can't stand the smell. I don't like being
Yep.
around it. I don't smoke it, but I understand and respect the medical benefits from it. And I know it helps a lot of people. And also for the people like who just like to smoke it recreational.
Yeah.
Um, I if like you said, if they're not smoking dope, if they need to smoke some weed and just to go to work and maintain, like
Yeah.
society is better, they are better, and if they're happy and their kids are taken care of, who am I to
Exactly.
judge that man or judge that woman?
Yeah, it's different, like you said, if bills aren't being paid and they're using the last dollar, for instead of food for that. But
Yeah.
nah, man, nah. So it's all good. Like I said, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it. So
Mm.
when the topic does come up, I like to
Yeah.
hit on it for a minute because man, it's just the way it should be. We need to
Yeah.
support one another, whatever that may look like. And
A
me, yeah,
recovery. Yeah. Yeah. Recovery is about being a better you.
exactly.
And if you're being a better you, like that, I applaud you. So if anybody's watching this, anybody's thinking that there's one way to do it, explore everything. Figure out the whole point of getting clean and sober is to figure out who you are as a person again, right? That is one of the benefits we get back. We get ourselves back. And I feel a lot of people get lost because they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm bored all the time. It's like, what do you like to do as a kid? Did you like to
Hmm.
collect stuff? Were you into sports? Maybe go to the gym? Do you like music? Do you like building toy mod? Like, there's so much stuff you can do, and it's like use this time to understand who you are. What do you like? What do you not dislike, or what do you dislike? There's all these things that benefits that come with it, and it's like so. If you're watching this, understand that there is more than one way to recovery. If something's not working for you, if you can't stand meetings, I can't stand it because my parole officer always pushed them on me. So it feels like a chore, you know? So it's like if you're just like me or feel that way, understand there's different avenues. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. Just do what makes you happy. And if you're staying clean and if it's working, then I applaud you. So
Yeah. So, um, obviously, there's consequences for everything that we've done. So, uh, um, you're more than welcome to share. I just got in some legal trouble.
yeah,
From
yeah.
was that why you're obviously in active addiction?
Yeah. Well, I was in when I was started using, I didn't want to steal. I didn't want to rob. Uh, I didn't want to like have to take from people to get. So instead, like I sold dope. You know what I'm saying? And it's like as soon as I got out from jail, I went and checked with my parole officer or my probation officer. I'd go get high, and basically I'd last as long as till the warrant went out.
Mm,
My whole area is downtown Portland, Skidmore Fountain, Elephant Park, Paranoia Park, like all down Burnside. The Red Doors, the Rescue Mission, like Waterfront. Those were my area. And so it was like I got in trouble for either like possession or delivery. But yeah, that was the way I provided for my habit. And I saw it at the time as a victimless crime, right?
right.
Obviously, it wasn't, but if you think of the big picture, obviously, I'm affecting people's kids and doing that. But yeah, so I would say it went hand in hand for me.
At what point? At one point, was it enough? Was enough? Like, at one point, did you finally decide to say, like, this shit's got to go?
Yeah. Um, you know, I was just talking about this the other day. I think I know for sure my revelation was, when I was out there, I didn't see anything different. I didn't want anything different. And I literally wanted the rest of my life to be running the streets, getting high. One time, I did get clean and sober for a little bit, had almost a year clean, then I started drinking, then eventually that led to drugs. But during that time, those 2, 3 years or 3 years that, I wasn't on hard drugs and I was just drinking, I happened to get a job, and it was the first job I ever had. and I excelled really well. Got moved up to like manager, running the office. Like I was coming to work every day, and nice like business building downtown, like nice suite. Had my own office, had all these employees. And I was like 23 years old, right? I'm on salary, getting all these bonuses, and so like I learned skills, and I had tools in my toolbox, and so when I went through a breakup, I got clean for her and not myself, right? And
Yeah.
so when she was gone, I went back to the streets, started using again, and came with that came prison. And when I was sitting in prison, I remember having a conversation with myself, when I get out, I'm going to do this. When I get out, I'm going to do this. And I remember stopping and pausing. And it's funny because I knew I was talking to myself in my head, but I looked around and I was like, I'm not talking to nobody. So why am I lying to myself? I've been arrested probably like 20 something times. And every single time I've told myself the same story when I get out, right? Because
Yeah.
it sounds like a good idea when you're clean. Then you get out and then you go get loaded, you know? And so I was sitting there and I was like, man, I need to quit lying to myself. And so I told myself, you know, music's always been my passion and it's always been my dream. And I said, well, I deserve to go chase my dreams. The dope game will always be there for me. Okay. And so I figured what's one thing I've never done before? And it was do music sober. I promised myself when I get out, I'm gonna do something different and do the challenges, and take a different route because obviously what I was doing wasn't working. And so like I tell everybody, and it's like I stuck to my guns and I prepped for the moment I got out of prison. I tell everybody I got clean and sober for music, right? I didn't expect to go down this road. I didn't expect to be in the position or doing what I'm doing, right? It just made sense after a while and kind of fit what I was doing. But I tell everybody, I got clean and sober for music, but then I stay sober nowadays because I refuse to give up a life that I built.
Mm.
So if you ever see my logo, the microphone with wings, it has wings on it because music saved my life and it's my guardian angel. It gave me an opportunity in clean time to love myself and really dedicate myself to the mission. So I think that was the it moment for me.
And I mean, like you said, and the same thing is everybody's views different. Everyone's revelation is different. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, man, like just the fact that, you didn't expect to be in the position that you're
No.
in, but I mean, at the end of the day, just like you said before, you got sober for a girl, and
Yeah.
we all, every one of us that's been through this knows
Yeah.
if it ain't for ourselves, it ain't gonna last. Like
Yeah.
we gotta want it, If it ain't for us, if it's for someone else, man, we're
Yeah.
just gonna just backpedal real quick.
Because what happens, I tell people in treatment centers all the time, what happens? So you get clean for your mom, your dad, your friend, your probation officer, your girlfriend. What happens when your girlfriend leaves you? What happens when your probation officer says, hey, I'm out of town for 2 weeks? You're like, oh, I can get high for a week and a half and then I'll get clean and then pass my UA, right? No one's gonna know. Well, that never hardly works out for anybody. So it's like you have to do it for yourself and love yourself. So behind closed doors, whatever you do in the dark will always come to the light. So
Absolutely.
do it for yourself. You have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it is, You got to do it for yourself, man. Yeah, I hear to the same story for everybody is I did it for so and so, and I failed 20 different times until I was ready for myself to do it,
Yep. That is, I hear that all the time, man. And I think there's nothing wrong with it is, being inspired to get clean
Mm,
for like your family or being inspired. Like if you have kids, that's a big motivator for people. But
yeah.
ultimately, that's not going to be enough. If that buys you a couple weeks till you finally get a chance to do it for yourself, that's awesome. But ultimately, if it's not for you, it's most likely not going to be long term.
Right.
So
So what was like the first year of of music as once you got out and kind of in a whole new perspective, how'd that first year look? I mean, was it tough to remain straight and narrow, or how did that?
no, I got out, and I stayed clean and sober the whole time in prison. I didn't want to risk my good time. I know if I was good, I was taking treatment classes in there. I know if I was being good, I would get out like 3 months early. And to me, that mattered. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? I didn't want to be in there. So I was like, if I could cut out 90 days or I didn't want to do 90 extra days just because I wanted to get high temporary or drink. So me getting out. Go
How
ahead.
long did you do? Sorry to interrupt.
The last time I did 24 months.
Okay.
So it wasn't that long, but I probably done about 3 years in county. And then maybe about like 18. Oh, I got 6 months off. So I did about 18 months in prison.
Okay.
So altogether, maybe like close to 5 years.
But you didn't want to be there to begin with, so you're gonna take
it gets old, bro.
Yeah.
It gets old, man. Every day, like you're walking. There was nothing like that walk to your toilet, take a pee in the middle of the night. You wake up from your dream, your happy dreams, whatever, and you see your surroundings, and you're going to take a pee, and you're half asleep, and you're just like, I got so many days left, you know? And even if they ain't much, you're like, I don't want to do another one. So, but when I got out, I was back downtown in the free housing because I had nowhere to go. You know, and I was there, and 6 days in, I had one drink, which I count as a relapse. My date, I had the drink. I got out November 30th, 2018. I had a drink December 5th, 2018. I counted as a relapse, and I started my whole time over. Well, I was even counting time before then because I never expected recovery. You know, that's not, I didn't get clean for recovery, just like I said. But it's like I got out, did good for like a week, had a drink. But when I was coming back, remember that conversation I said I had with myself? I was on the max coming back. I had some music in my ears. I was feeling good. And I thought when I get back, I was like, I'm going to have to see if someone's out at the front desk because I don't want them to catch me. I'm drunk. I had a buzz on, but like I didn't want no one to catch me. And so I was like, if someone's at the front desk, I'm going to smoke a cigarette. And then when they go to the back real quick, I'll walk up, And I thought to myself, I'm like, wait, if I got to sneak up, that means I'm doing something wrong. And I was like, what about that promise I made myself? And I was like, here I go. It's a slippery slope. So since that day, that reminder to myself, clean and sober, music, getting out the gate. I'm writing more goals now, but as you see, like there's some goals up there, right? I have long-term goals, short-term goals, and dream goals. Each one gets a poster board. I break goals down, but I made sure my walls were all plastered with these dreams. And then I had one on the door. So when I walk out every day, I put everything I love, like music, family members' names. So I would have to see their names on that door before I left, because if I went and caused trouble, that's exactly what I would lose, everything on that poster. And so I stayed with it, man. I paid for my own, finally got my own studio. I was still working a job at the time, doing little local shows, things like that. So it was a grind. I really didn't see much results, but I was putting in the step work and building the foundation. So it was a grind, man. I showed up to work every day, got back home, worked on the music, and I made it work. But ultimately, it really was a setup for success for the next year. Even next year was way better than the year before. So,
right. Yeah. The funny thing about, like I said, having the walls plastered and especially the names and stuff, things that you love on the front door, because man, it's true. The saying goes, whatever you put before your recovery is the first thing you're going to lose.
Yep.
And like you said, man, if you realize you went out and you did all those things that were on there were going to be things that you lose,
Gone. I was 28 years old when I got out.
Yeah.
I do hip hop. It's a young man's game. Yep. It's like, and every time you get in trouble, your sentences just get longer and longer and longer. And it's like, I didn't want to restart, prison was easy. I didn't get in trouble because I kept to myself, but I did not like every single day was a reminder that I'm wasting my life.
Right.
And so that's what drives me, man.
So what do you do on a day? Is there something that you do on a daily basis to keep consistent in your recovery? Like everyone. Some people they have rituals they do. Some people they what do you do every single day just to constantly remind yourself to keep moving forward and stay on the straight and narrow?
Man, my supporters, my friends. I live on social media. That's a full-time job and a half. I'm on social media doing all my stuff. I get so many messages a day talking about how I inspire them. But also I see them down my timeline and they inspire me as well. I don't do nothing particularly our everyday, that, you know, like you said, rituals or things like that. But just me just seeing my network, or not my network, but my network of people,
Hmm.
you know, that's a constant reminder. I got some really cool people on my timeline, and it's like seeing everybody, you know, repping the brand, or, you know, showing love or showing support. That is the biggest motivator to me. I don't want to, I don't want to let them down. Most importantly, I don't want to let myself down. In days
Right.
that I feel like I'm not making progress, they remind me that, you know, I'm doing things that I've only dreamed of. And it's like doing music 20 plus years, and I'm finally doing stuff that I've never imagined, you know, being a full-time artist, like making a good living, like, you know, making an impact, touring, traveling. Like, this is insane to me. So I think my people are a constant reminder, you know.
Yeah. No, there you go, man. Like you said, you got a whole one, as being a musician, and all
Yeah.
eyes are on you. Like you
Yeah.
got there's a lot of, not a lot of pressure, but you got a lot of people
Accountability.
that, I mean, yeah, a lot of accountability.
Yeah.
Exactly, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
So shifting gears into the music, what for the people that don't know, like, when was your, like, what finally took out, like, was it what time frame, what song, or was it that finally just like got you on the map?
Uh, I would say honestly, meeting the my fiance, my other half. You know, I always had a good message, you know, but my delivery and artist ability wasn't there. I needed someone. I met her and I'd play my stuff, and she's like, "Oh, it's all right." She's a musician herself, and she's extremely talented. Her name's Kayla Mulcahy. Like, crazy air background in opera, like sing, like extremely talented. She hears stuff that, like, I still don't even hear, but I'm trying to train my ears and I'm getting way better at it. But I
Mm,
would come out the studio and she wouldn't be afraid to tell me, "That's not it. You can do better," or "That's offbeat," right? No one ever, all my friends that anytime I share something, "Oh, that's cool, that's dope, that's awesome,"
yeah.
right? No one told me I was offbeat for 17 freaking years, right? No one told me, like, "Hey man, like, your stuff could use some work. You got a good message." But when she did that and, like, took the time, I knew what she was saying. I trusted her enough. Maybe I wasn't ready to hear it. You know,
Right.
maybe the so-called haters were being honest with me. Maybe they delivered it in the wrong way, but, you know, but it's like, I think her taking the time, man, to really help me and pushing me. And once I started rapping on beat, like, you know, it took 17 years.
Right.
So, you know, if anybody's watching this, don't give up on your dream. Don't leave before the miracle happens. Okay. You know, but it's like it took that. And I think that kind of moment, you know, over time has really helped me, because not only does my good message and my character carry it and my kindness, but now I could actually deliver a nice song, you know. And it's not every time I make, to me, I personally, I make songs even now that, like, aren't that good. Like, it
Mhm.
happens, there's songs I don't release, but I'll be working on a song halfway through and I'm like, "Oh, this is trash." Like, you
Yeah,
know,
I've done that so many times, bro.
I'm so in my head and critical. Like, I'm like thinking, I look and I see like all my followers, I see my follower counts, I know I got like millions of plays, and I'll be working on something, I'm like, there's no way, like, how, if I try to like get in the mindset as an artist that's like successful, you know, because, like, you know, to be a millionaire, you got to think like a millionaire type thing, you
Yep,
know, and not
yep.
money related, but it's like I'm thinking like, okay, if I'm starting to reach that level where I'm getting eyes on me, like I'm so hard on myself. I'm like, oh, this ain't at that level. I feel like I gotta constantly, like, each song's gotta be better and better and better, you know. But I would say the last 2.5 to 3 years has been great. Now this last year, I'm actually making songs where I throw it on and I'm like, yo, that's fire, you know?
Yeah,
But it took me that long to get there. And if it wasn't for her, there's no way I would have the success I have. You
yeah.
know, at the end of the day, like, my songs weren't that very good. So
I mean, it was good that you were able to see that, but at the end of the day, you're able to accept that criticism, like constructive criticism, because Like I said, as a fellow musician myself,
Yeah,
like it's hard to take that
yeah,
criticism from somebody else,
yeah,
because it's like, we're hard on ourselves, but then when someone tries to tell you something, you're kind of like, well, damn, but like it's just,
yeah,
but that's cool that you're able to do that because, like you said, if you would have never done that, you would have never leveled up where you're at now.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
It's I don't know if I would have been so open until it was her. I remember I was doing a song and my song window was downer. And even looking back at it, it's not nowhere up to what I'm doing now. But yeah, I remember that was one of the songs. She was like, "No, get back in there, get back in there." And for 3 days, I was staying out of place, and she would come over at night, and I'd have the studio up, and I'd work on it for hours, right? And then like she was coming over, I'm like, "Okay, I can't wait," because I'm like, I'm not releasing anything till I get her approval.
hmm
And she'd come over and she's like, "Ah, it's not it. Got to do it again." And I'd be so frustrated. There was a few times I wanted to cry. I had tears in my eyes. I'm upset. Like I just wanted to break everything. And I'm so frustrated. And she's like, because I worked on it all night, and she'd come the next day, like literally like 6-7 hours, and she'd come over and like, "That's not it," on one verse. I
hmm
remember it took me like a day and a half to get one line. And she's like, "Nope, nope, nope." And I'd have like 70 tracks going, like all muted. What about this one? What about this one? And and I wanted to cry, and it kind of it took an hour or two because it was so uncomfortable because I was so upset and I couldn't get out of my head. That I remember we were just sitting there and I was like, okay, and like kind of like ruined the evening.
right.
But that was the moment that I remembered that like you have to put in the work, you have to grind, and you just got to keep trying. And eventually, it came out to where at the time where I was at my stage, I was like, yo, this is nice for where I'm at. And and I remember those moments. I remember those moments. So nowadays, sometimes I'll spend an hour or two on like a line or two trying to
hmm
get it in pocket, trying to get it, but it reminds me that it pays off. And if this is what I love, then, who cares as a musician if it takes 1,000 tries? You just need to land one.
Yep. Have you ever? Because I've done this so many times. Have you ever? You got your beat. You're right. You record your song. You sit back and play it back, and you're like, "Nah, this ain't the beat." And you change the beat 2 or 3 different times,
All the time,
or you keep it. You keep the beat, but then you have the whole song written, and then you just delete everything and just start rewriting all over again. Because
bro.
I have that problem. I have that problem, man. I will scrap songs 5, 6 times in a row.
Bro, I used to release everything. I literally, if you go on my YouTube, I have hundreds and hundreds of songs. By the time I was 18, I had about 1,000 songs on a computer that I had, right? Um, but on like YouTube, I have a few hundred songs. You could go back and scroll back. They are not good. I kept them up though because it's a reminder to anybody
See
that
the
there's a
progress.
process to this.
Yep.
You know, it's like I'm gonna look back 5 years from now and think the stuff I release nowadays is garbage. It's always going to be that battle. People are always taken down in like presentation. And I like to show people it's a progress. Like you throw on my old songs, I'm gonna turn flush red. That's how embarrassed and bad they are. But
hmm
I like to have them up there, and it's like I do that all the time, man. I scrap so many songs. There's times where I'm in my head where it's hard to get inspired for like a month,
Yep.
because I'm like, it feels like a chore. It feels like work. And I have to remind myself that this is what, because I would do music for free for the rest of my life, and never make a dime just because I love it. So I have to remind myself that because I get so far in my head, I'm like, I gotta go record this song. I gotta record this verse because I'm trying to put out new content, but I feel like I can never get to a level that I want to get. And it's defeating. It ruins my confidence. It ruins everything. And I'm sharing that with everybody because I want everybody to know, like, this is how most people feel. So
Yeah.
stop looking at other. I look at other artists, and I'm like, bro, they are so dope. I wish I could rap like that, But I
Mhm.
gotta remember to respect myself and remember how far I've come.
Yeah. But
It's important.
those artists right there think the same way you were thinking.
They do. And there was an artist I seen literally post that like 4 days ago, and I was like, yo, that's my life. And
Yeah.
he was talking about like, he like doesn't feel like he does like everything I just explained. He basically put it in a post, and I was like, that's how I've been feeling forever. So, but
Yeah.
I look at him like, I wish I was that good. Oh, if I was that good, I would have done blown up. You know,
Yeah.
it's a process, man.
Yeah, exactly. And it's cool to be vulnerable, and keep
Mhm.
that open to remind yourself, man, I got a CD that I did when I was like 15 years old. My kids have it, and
Mhm.
they are so happy about that thing that they're like, they want to play it all the time. And I'm like, please don't, because it is absolutely cringe. Like, I can't believe I even recorded that. But my
My
kids, to see how happy they are about it, like it's really cool.
It's my dad is the same way. My dad has so back in the day, I used to do the poor man's copyright. I used to mail an album to myself.
Yep,
You know,
yep,
that way it has the date that it was stamped and it was made, and it's all through like the post office, so it's government regulated, whatever. Poor man's copyright. And my dad, every once in a while, will play those CDs. He'll be like, "I had like 6 people at the house yesterday. We're jamming to your, struggling the rose volume 1." I'm like, "Dad," I was like 16. I was like, "Why do you play those songs? Like that's literally their first impression of me." Like, "Oh, my
yeah,
son's doing this," and I'm like, "And then you play trash." And he's like, "Well, send me links," and I send him links, and he never plays the new stuff, and
yeah,
he doesn't know how to scroll up on his phone. Like, he'll have text messages right here, and
yeah.
I'll go over there. I'm like, "Pops, what'd you play?" And he's like, "Oh, I can't find links." I literally go like that, and it's right there. He
Mm,
just doesn't, and he plays the old stuff on the
yeah,
CDs, and I'm like, "Oh
that's
my
yeah,
god!"
that's
It,
funny, man.
I get secondhand embarrassment from him just hearing the stories.
Yeah,
Like, there's no way you're bragging about your kid and how like what he's doing, and then you play that. Everybody is laughing at you, but are too nice to say it.
yep. So,
Uh,
so how did all right, so opening for Kevin Gates, man.
yeah,
How did that come about? I bet you that was an experience.
that was an experience. It was an amazing opportunity. You know, I Kevin Gates has been, so my favorite of all time is Eminem. Okay, grew up on Eminem. He's the one. When I listened to his music, I wanted to make music because I wanted people to feel how I felt when I listened to his music. I wanted to recreate that experience. But my favorite artist nowadays is Kevin Gates. It's been since maybe like 2015. I'm obsessed with his music. I to the point where it's like he can't release a bad song to me just because I love the sound of his voice.
Mhm.
I obsess over it, like the way he can rap and the way like he kind of hits the harmonies and like different things, like. And so to me, I'm such a big fan that I saw a promoter and that was throwing a show, and I was like, I saw it. I was like, well, I should message him. And I was like, nah, it probably won't happen. And I was sitting outside and I was talking to my other half, and I was like, oh, did you see so and so? She's like, yeah. I was like, thinking about messaging him. Well, eventually, um, I messaged him, and it ended up working out. It was a great experience. We ended up performing at Spokane Arena with him, not with him, but opening up for him.
Yeah.
But honestly, it was one of the coolest, proudest moment achievements. It was like I performed, then when he performed, I was right in the front, just watching. It's one of those things, man. It was on my dream goal, was to open up for Kevin Gates. So it's like it just reminds me of how far I've come.
Yeah.
And since then, like, you know, it's just crazy how everything works out. It was such a prideful moment, and I know I owe it to myself, my recovery, and the hard work I put in.
Did were you able to like sit down and have a conversation with them and all that, or
No,
yeah?
no, no. It's I wish but I have been chopping it up with his team.
Okay.
I got connected not because of him or anything like that. I just happened eventually a lot of his team started following me, and I talked to them. Nothing about Gates or nothing like that.
Yeah.
But it's like when I was at the show. So if you wind back a little bit of time, Kevin Gates got in trouble when that female fan kept groping him, and he
Yeah.
ended up kicking her,
Yep.
and he went to prison over it. Well,
Yep.
now it's in the contract, at least for the contract that this promoter signed, that no one's allowed to talk with him. He had to be escorted by police to and from the stage. They literally kicked even the performing artist out. They kicked anybody that wasn't part of his entourage. They all had to go behind. So you had like the gates where everybody watches right here, than the stage. Everybody
Hmm.
had to, even if you performed, you had to come back around this gate, and then they had police blocking it off. So no one
Wow.
was allowed to talk to him. No one was allowed to meet him. I don't know if it's part of his probation, but it was definitely part of the contract. So,
Yeah.
so there
Yeah.
was no opportunity.
Yeah. I remember that. I was actually just
Yeah.
reading about that the other day too. And so I mean that sucks, man. You know, it'd been nice if you'd been able to, but hey man, who knows? You know, maybe, you know, something might come up, you know, eventually, you know.
Hey, I'm dream of it every day, man. And if I can manifest it, and if it happens, it happens. If not, I will just appreciate the music he puts out and the inspiration. Um,
Well,
you just
even just
never
the fact
know.
that you got to do that, you know.
Yeah, yeah, it's a dream come true. I'm grateful.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of people that could say that they went and opened up for him.
No, no, no. They're literally the only other artist I could ever dream of is like Eminem, but he's so removed that
Yeah,
he's almost like a unicorn or like a fairy tale. It's just like I've never even seen him perform. Like it's a dream of mine just to see him perform. But
yeah,
like Kevin Gates feels more touchable.
yeah.
He's not some like mega, you know. And so
Right, right.
like that it happened, and it's something that I will always remember, and I don't take for granted. So
Yeah, my one of my favorite artists, my biggest inspiration. Of course, you know, like I said, Eminem was like number one on the list for
you did,
a lot of us. But
yeah,
nowadays, you know, NF, man, I've been following NF since before he even blew up, like 2010,
yeah,
2011, and man, he you know, it sucks when he takes, you know, two years to release an album, but this dude is such a perfectionist, but all his stuff is just on
it,
point.
hey, his production team, like,
Yes.
of course, his delivery and everything's perfect,
Yeah.
but there is nothing like everything feels like a cinematic like movie.
Yep.
And like when
Yeah.
it hits, like I don't know, like I'm sure there is, but not off the top of my head. And I haven't heard a bunch of MF. I haven't, but I've maybe heard maybe 15, 20 songs. And the songs that I've heard, like it is so crisp and it gives you goosebumps. Like when it hits and he's
Mhm.
just his whole team, whatever he's doing, stick
Yeah.
with it because it's magical.
Yeah.
It is.
His producer Tommy Prophet, you know, this dude he does the productions, but it's crazy because you know, like, you know, NF has always said like he's always been inspired by movies and stuff, and so
Yeah,
he likes to incorporate. That's why his music videos are just like movies.
they're insane. They're insane.
And his instrumentals are crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I really can't think of a rapper off my head like when it drops and it hits and that build up that he does.
Yeah.
It's kind of breathtaking, especially like if you have the music up. It's like there's not too many artists that, and I don't listen to a wide variety of artists. I'm not, I don't really listen to radio. I find an artist and I listen to him for years and like
Right.
obsessed listening to him. But it's
Yep.
like I heard him and I was just like, I don't know, even like Gates or like Eminem, like, of course, they're more my favorite than him, but I
Right.
can't explain the way his music hits.
Right.
It's like none other.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you definitely gotta check out his discography, man. It's definitely
Okay.
because you know a lot of people know him for all his newer stuff, but man, you go
Yeah.
back to his older stuff. Like to him, it's cringe, just like we were talking. Like to
Yeah.
him, he can't even listen to it. But
Yeah.
to me, it's like, dang, this thing hits, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but no, man, that definitely. So I'd say that's like kind of like my inspiration. That'd be on my dream board, man. Would be
Yeah.
to just even have a conversation. Like I'd
Hey,
love to have a conversation with him, you know, on the podcast or something. I mean,
you ever
even if it's 10 years from now,
yeah,
bro.
you ever think about a meet and greet?
I would love, bro. I would
Yeah,
love to.
bro, that's why eventually I told my lady, I was like, I'm just gonna get a meet and greet next time,
Yeah.
just for Kevin Gates. Like I don't
Yep.
care. Like I don't care at what level I'm at or what level I get to, or like I have my favorites, and like I'll get a meet and greet. I'll stand in line and talk just to tell you, hey man, love your music.
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly. Yeah. I've been to two of NF shows, and I mean, dude, this dude puts on a
Yeah.
show. So like his like, do you think his production as far as the
The
stage goes?
show. Yeah.
Holy crap! Like I don't think I've ever seen anybody do it the way he does it. So
That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm gonna have to check it out, man. I remember. So I've been to probably about I don't know 4 or 5 Kevin Gates shows.
okay.
And it's crazy because not the last one I performed at, right?
Mhm.
But the one before that, I remember watching it, and I had tears in my eyes, and I wanted to cry. Not when he was performing, but when I seen other openers performing for him.
Right.
because I was like, man, and I remember looking at my other half and I was like, I want to open up for him so bad. Like that's gonna be me one is like, I want that.
Right.
And it's like I had tears in my eyes, like I it just seems so unfathomable. And then next Kevin Gates show I was at, I was opening and it was an arena. I was like, I
Yeah.
remember those moments where you're just so that's all you could obsess. I don't even remember who the openers were. I don't even think they were that good, but I seen someone else doing something I desired so bad.
Right.
That's what music inspires you, man.
Yeah. That's cool, man. And that, like you said, that goes to show everybody that's watching or listening,
Yeah.
don't give up on your dreams because it's
No.
right around. It could be right around the corner.
Yeah. Don't quit before the miracle happens.
Well, bro, and that's what happens, bro. Like you see these people, they're grinding, and then they don't feel like anything's paying off, and
Yeah.
then they just walk away from it. But if you look at the illustration, bro,
Yeah.
they were like one step away from that breakthrough, you know.
The world will never know. The
And
world will
yeah,
never know. And that's why it's like I tell people, if you love something, do it. Not because you want to be successful. Sure, that can motivate you, but do it because you love it, because you're gonna get burnt out of being told no. You're gonna be burnt out of the process, the journey. It just happens. Like I was seeing something with like Echo was opening up for like Jelly Roll, and Jelly Roll was
yeah,
talking about, he's like, yeah, man, I put out like I can't remember, it was like 35 or 24 like albums before I became successful. And he's like, so
yeah,
that means 24 times I put my all into a project and it didn't do anything. I
yeah,
failed that many times. And
yeah.
so it's just like, keep going.
Yeah, and now look, Echo's on tour with Chris Webby, and he's doing all this stuff. Echo, I've talked to Echo a couple times just through social media.
Yeah.
I've hit him up to be on this deal, and we haven't really been able to work anything out yet. I'm hoping
Yeah.
that we can because Echo is like, I love him as such an independent artist.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Gremlin.
Yeah. I know, my boy NK just went on tour with him.
Okay, yeah. So Gremlin, I talked to him the other day. We're gonna work something out with him and stuff.
Nice.
I'd love to get Echo, man.
Yeah.
I relate so much with his stuff, especially with addiction and the
Yeah.
recovery and all that. So, but yeah, man, like, and that's the same for me, bro. Like doing this, like you said, don't give up because, even me, I've been doing this and like it seems like it's a slow grind and I don't have a high follower count, which at the end of the day, I don't really care about the follower count. All I care about is reaching people. Like if I end up getting hundreds of thousands of followers, so be it. But that's not my main process. But like people I could look right now and get discouraged. I'm like, man, I only got this or that. But look, like I told you earlier, I'm this little guy down here and I've been blessed to work with people who have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers, if not millions of followers. And it's like, I love it. I love this. Like even if I get, a couple hundred views, bro, I love this. I do this because I absolutely love it, but I'm going to keep grinding,
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, it's easy to get discouraged.
Yeah.
Up until like 2 years ago, since I've had my YouTube, since I think like 2006, might be 2006, I had my YouTube. I had like 43,000 plays. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't really have anything else. But it's like since then, like last year alone, we got like 6 million plays. Last year, we gained, me and my lady together, we've gained like about over 200,000 followers. Like you just never know when things are going to click. And so it's like, we're starting to see the results and it's more motivation, but it's like that whole time is like, I was grinding when no one was listening because I love it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what I did when I got home from work. That's what I did, when I got home from school. Like it was music all the time.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if you love some guys, don't give up. Do it no matter what no one says. Do it because you love it and that's your passion. You have every right to chase your dreams no matter how crazy it sounds.
Yep, exactly. And that's where it's at. I got a list of people that are probably unreachable for me to get on this podcast, but I'm still going to try, even if it takes me 5 years, because
it may be unreachable right now.
Exactly. And yeah, like I look at it now and I'm like, bro, there's no way in hell like I'd ever get, Steve-O, I'd never get, Brandon Novak, like all these other people. But guess what? Like, it doesn't mean I'm not going to try. And, and I've only been it'll get better from there, bro. You just one day at a time, one step at a time, especially just like recovery,
Yeah. Consistency is the key. Consistency is the key. You know, and things will happen, man. You'll be surprised the opportunities that come your way. Like I said, I was literally basically crying looking at other people open up for Gates.
Yeah.
Wind forward 8 months later, I got a crazy opportunity to open up for him on a bigger stage. Like, you know, so it's like I was basically crying watching the other openers because it just seemed so unreal and I wanted it so bad. But it
Yeah.
was like, how is that even gonna happen? You know, and I felt like my soul was crushed, you know?
Yeah.
But
So,
you know,
changing gears.
yeah,
So you got a tour coming up.
yeah, yep.
Tell, tell a little bit about it.
Okay, yeah, it is our second Road to Recovery tour. And what it is we travel treatment center to treatment center around the United States. We get to meet the most important person in recovery, and that's the newcomer. You know, we get a chance to, you know, meet up with them and be able to spread hope. So we stop in uh, treatment center, and we go in there. We set up our equipment, just me and my lady, nobody else. And I get a chance to speak. My lady's not in recovery, but she is an ally. She doesn't like use or anything like that. You know, but we set up. I speak with these people, and then we perform. We get a chance to perform our music. We talk to them afterwards. Everybody who's at these treatment centers gets free shirts. Uh, some get free hoodies. You know, we do raffles for free hoodies, like albums, posters. We make sure everybody leaves with some stuff. And on top of that, like we get a chance to speak with them and let them know that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be scared. It's okay not to have all the answers. It's okay to made mistakes in your past, but understand your past does not define you, you know, and it is ultimately one of my favorite things I love to do. It's a
Mm.
lot of work. We do all the booking ourselves. We do all the traveling. We do all the paying for everything. All the like everything. All independent artists. You know, we do have a sponsor this year, or we had it last year too. It's Fourth Dimension Recovery Center. But yeah, we head out on a campaign to break the stigma around recovery. You know, these are people that you know, maybe been in treatment 12 times and something's not working. So they're back working on their cognitive skills, working on everything. But maybe be able to say something different that hits, or maybe this is the person that's first time in treatment. And we
Yeah.
get to show them that, hey, man, it's possible. I come from the doorways with a needle in my arm. You know, now I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And it's like, you know, I've never done this before. I'm a first time business owner and it's going pretty well, you know? But yeah, it's really cool, man. We get in jails, we get in schools, crisis centers. Last year we did a crisis center and in Wyoming, and we performed with the guys, and the guys were so excited, like they gave us standing ovations, and the people that were there, the staff were like, they're quiet, they always try to act tough, they always try to. So it was really cool to see them break out of their shell, like they were clapping us out, trying to help us carry gear out. And then I went down with the ladies and performed with the ladies, and me and like most of the girls, we just cried. We performed. It's so healing, so magical, man. I performed, you know, and we just broke down. You know, I'm crying. I got tissue in my nose, like, you know.
Yeah.
So it's the Road to Recovery tour. It kicks off May 19th and it goes all the way to October 1st. So we'll be 4 months.
Okay. So anybody that's listening, that's watching, if they were interested in booking, how would they do that?
You can contact me, Skyler Ray, on any single platform. Or my email is booking skylerray@gmail.com. That is BOOKING, Skyler Ray. And Skyler is spelled with a ER, not an AR. So leave me a message on any of my platforms. We're more than willing to come back or come out to you. So just reach out. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, and we'll put the links to everything in the description when this gets released. But
Awesome.
yeah, I'll have to talk with you after this. I'd love to get you out here, bro. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
I'm down, man. I'm down. We love doing what we do. It is the most sounds selfish, but it's the most self-rewarding thing that I do. Like I get great pleasure meeting these people and helping these people, and like I know the reason is for them, and I want to help people, and I want to like you know everything I do is I want to see uplift my community, but I also get great pleasure out of it, knowing that you know I'm making a difference. It's beautiful. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, man. Especially like the fact that you guys pretty much, hold all the finances yourself and
Yeah.
do everything yourself. The fact that you don't let that discourage you from going out and still doing it,
Yeah.
regardless of the money or this or that.
Yeah.
Like, because the way I've always looked at it is like if you truly passionately go out and do something, um, a way is going to be made one way or another. Like, you know,
It happens. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. It's like things work out crazy
yeah,
ways. And if it don't work out, don't mean it's not going to work out in the future.
right.
Um, you know, bro, I'm so blessed. Like it's, I'm living my dream every single day. So even my worst moments are a worst moment of my dream. So it's like I don't take nothing for granted, man. For so long I've grinded to get anybody to listen. And for 17 years it never amounted to a single dollar. It never amounted to anything like that. So nowadays that I have people actually who like pay attention, it's breathtaking, man. It truly is.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's man, just keep doing what you're doing, and everything
Thank
falls
you.
into place. So before we wrap up, you got new
Mm.
music dropping.
Yes, yes, yes. I got a song called Drowning. Um it's a really cool song, man. It is emotional. The whole point of the song is it's off my album Burnside. Burnside's a street that all my addiction went on. So that whole album is gonna be touchy feely, right? But new song is called Drowning. It drops everywhere May 12th. That is this upcoming Friday. And it puts you in the perspective of the addict and not necessarily it's a circumstances of what goes through the addict's mind in active addiction. So if you're ever wondering, why can't so and so stop? Why can't this person, I love my brother, why can't he do it? It's like this is a chance for you sit back and listen to kind of what an addict goes through. Because active addiction is like drowning. It's
Yeah.
hard to help yourself. There's like you feel helpless. You just can't breathe. You're suffocated by your bad decisions. But also on the retrospect, if you're an addict and ever been through addiction, like you're gonna relate. So check it out. It is called Drowning. It is out everywhere. Go listen to it.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to hear it, and when I did, man, I told Skyler, I said, "Holy crap, man!" So it's awesome. It really is. So that's
Thank you.
cool. So when's the album supposed to drop?
I put a date on it a couple times, and I try not to put date on things because I look silly. It was supposed
Yeah.
to drop last year. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
I'm like, oh, a few months, and it's like I would hope this year it might drop
Yeah.
next year, bro. I'm at a point where I actually, like I said, I throw on my music and I'm like, wow, that's dope. That's something I'd listen to. And so I'm very appreciative to be where I'm at, to actually be able to make good songs that I actually like.
Yeah.
So I don't want to rush it, man. I'm going to the direction of the album keeps changing and changing and changing. I plan on dropping singles as consistently as I can, and then eventually, when most of them are released, I'll probably drop the album with a couple new songs.
Yeah.
So guys, maybe this year, maybe next year, but when it's out, I promise you, I give it my all.
Yeah,
So
no, I feel you on putting dates, man. My album that I'm working on, man, I should stop saying it's gonna come out when it comes out because
bro,
every time, man, I can't tell you how many times I've redone my track list, how many
bro,
times I took songs off, put songs on.
I it's just it's crazy. I try to give myself like 6 months or 5 months. I'm like, oh, I could easily do that. And then I'm like, 5 months go by and I have like two songs I want to put on it. And I'm like, oh,
Yep.
all right, 6 more months. And now I'm just like, I I, I don't want to look silly. I don't want to post dates. And so it's like, take your time, man.
Yeah. You-
Enjoy
You're
it,
correct. To perfect your craft, you just gotta take your time with it, and
Yeah.
everything will get better as it goes.
Yeah. One thing I could promise though, this is going to be the best album that I put out. I think it's going to be the best body of work. I think it's going to be the most complete project, most vulnerable. Um, I think if you've ever been through active addiction or ever felt scared, felt lost, felt hopeless, like this album is going to break you down. I listened to it and like what I got on there and I cry. just because it's that powerful. At least probably because I relate to it so much. But I always try to come from a relatable point of view. Like I sold dope, and I was, I like, especially like the last few times of my addiction, I was pretty successful. So I had a lot of stuff that came with it, with selling dope. But it's like I don't ever like to talk about that or put it in the limelight, because I don't like to talk about like, oh, I sold dope, like I felt like I'm cool, like I'm doing this on the block selling dope. Like I always try to come from the perspective, because the most important message is I was a helpless addict. You know what I'm saying? I threw away my entire life for drugs, and I turned my life around, and I know it's possible. So that's what I try to always, my perspective in music is when I talk about drugs, it's not putting in the limelight. It's being real, because that's the reality that most people face. And so, like, when you listen to my upcoming album, Burnside, like, you're gonna get a lot of those type of songs that it shows a perspective of somebody who lost their life to drugs, but knowing that they've overcome it, that's what makes the whole project turn from sad to beautiful. So
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for it.
thank you.
So, and like I said, we'll put links to everything, your socials,
Yes,
website, everything into the description. So last thing, before we wrap up is, what would you say to the person that's hanging on by a thread right now that
are
just
they,
needs words of encouragement?
man, I would say, no matter what you're going through, no matter how difficult it seems, you're not alone. Um, and it's not the end. Even if you're hanging on by a thread and you lose it and you totally spiral out of control, it's not the end. It's just, the beginning. And it's just like, stick in there, try to come up with a plan, try to figure out, look, if life's hitting you hard and it's raining, you might not be able to dodge those punches. But while you're taking those punches and trying to sustain what they call life, just try to come up with a plan, try to figure out a counter. What is going to be your next step? Understand that it's okay to feel alone, to feel afraid, to feel lost, to feel like a failure. Most of us do. But understand that you are valuable, and you have a lot to offer the world. So always reach out to me. My inbox is always open. Understand that you're beautiful. No matter what you've done, no matter where you've been, it's like, please give yourself a chance. It will get better.
Yeah, there you have it. And like you said, Skyler's inbox is always open.
Always.
Podcast box is always open. My personal page is always open. There's a huge community out here to support people, so. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap it up now. Thank you again for tuning in with us today. Please go listen to Skyler Ray's music. Go show him some love.
Yes.
And, remember, we recover out loud for those suffering in silence. So until next time, we love you guys. Thank you so much. Peace.